It's not possible to have a discussion with a large group like this. So, it's a dialogue, a conversation with two people. And we will, if you do not mind, treat it as such. Two friends are talking over together about their problems. They're real friends, not convenient friends, but friends who have known each other for some time and they are walking perhaps in a wood, sitting on a bench and talking over their intimate problems, as friends do. So, this is not only a conversation between two people, you and the speaker, and it's a dialogue, a friendly conversation, each one trying to penetrate into the problem as deeply as possible and trying to find an answer to all their innumerable struggles, pain, anxieties, and so on. So that's what we are going to do this morning. Two people talking over together and not asserting anything, neither one nor the other. Two people who are concerned deeply with life, with all its complexities, with all its subtleties, its varieties, the craziness that goes on in themselves and outwardly. So we are together as two people who have known each other for some time, friendly, going to have conversation together. The first question they ask each other, my son died 3 years ago. My husband 4 months later. I find it extremely hard to let go of the memory of their utter desperation. There must be a way, and perhaps you will know, I have come a long distance and found help and so on. Could you speak about death and attachment, please? My son died 3 years ago, and so did my husband. I find it extremely hard to let go of the memory of their utter desperation. There must be a way, perhaps you may know it. I have come a long distance and found help in listening to your talks. Could you speak about death and detachment, please? First of all, let us talk over together. What does it mean to be attached? And what is the difference between attachment and dependence? What is attachment? Why is one attached to a country, to a person, to some experience they've had, to some ideology, to some definite conclusion? Why do people do this throughout the world? Depending upon their circumstances, upon their environment, social, moral, and so on. This is the pattern man has repeated over and over and over again. I've had an experience, something that stirs me deeply, brings a color to my life, gives a meaning, and that experience, which is gone, dead, and I hold on to the memory of it. Why do we do this? My friend asked me, and I'm talking over with my friend, why human beings, wherever they live, cling to this in some form or another to their land, their property, their wealth, their wives, their husbands, and so on. Why? Please, we are talking over together, my friend and I. You are the audience who is listening. Why do we cling, be attached? The word attachment comes from Latin attaccare, in Italian, which means to put your grips into something and hold. Is it because in ourselves we are insufficient? Inwardly? Is it because I am there is loneliness? There is a sense of to possess something, whether it's a piece of furniture, or a house, or a person, to possess something, to say it's mine, gives a great deal of pleasure. Is it that we human beings, you and I, have nothing deeper, more vital? Therefore, we hold on to something very, very superficial, something that may pass away. We know it unconsciously, something is passing away, but we hold on. We may hold on to an illusion. The word illusion means to play. The root meaning of that word is to play. And which we play with illusions. They are very, very satisfactory. Or we invent a subtle form of ourselves at a different level. So we create all these things and hold on. Why? Is it that one is afraid to be nothing, to have nothing to hold on to? Is it because in possessing, holding, clinging to something, it gives us great sense of security, a sense of well-being? Because life is very uncertain, dangerous, incredibly brutal. The world is becoming more and more like a concentrated camp. So, why are we attached, each one of us, to something? And when we look at the different forms of attachment, see the consequences of it, that is fear, anxiety, pain, to see it and not allow time to end it. Means, that is, I am attached to my wife, and I see both intellectually and deeply that this attachment has many consequences, painful, desperate, and I see it all logically, I see it intellectually, rationally, and I can't let it go because I am afraid to be alone, lonely. And I see all this because my friend and I are fairly intelligent. We are both looking at it. And we say, time will allow me to be free of this attachment. Gradually, I will understand. Gradually, I will let it go. That attitude of graduality is stupidity. Because either I see the whole thing and end it immediately, or I'm foolish because I like to cling to something, to a memory that is dead, gone. Right? So intelligence is to see the whole movement of attachment, the whole process of it, both the inward and outward, and the very perception of it to end it. That is intelligence. Not to postpone, not to allow time to dullen the mind, the brain. Because if one postpones, neglects, accepts, you are living in a pattern that is already over, that is in a memory of the past, memory. It is dead. And so the brain is living with something that's finished, with something that is past. And living in the past always dulls the quality, the vitality of the brain. So we have examined, you and I, sitting on that bench in the forest. And now let's examine what is detachment. Is detachment the opposite of attachment? If one pursues detachment and makes that another form of attachment, you are exactly the same thing as before. I hope this is clear. That is, if detachment from my attachment is its opposite, then there is conflict. Right? There is conflict between attachment and I should be detached. And then my whole attention or my energy is trying to be detached. And yet I know I'm attached. So there is conflict going on. So we have to find out what is the relationship, if there is any, between attachment and detachment. Or there is no relationship whatsoever. When there is an ending of attachment, there is no need to use the word detachment. There is the ending of it. But for most of us, our brain is conditioned to this process of the opposites. And one has to question if there is an opposite at all. At the physical level, there are the opposites. Tall, short, wide, broad, ugly, beautiful, and so on. But psychologically, inwardly, is there an opposite at all? Or only what is? And we invent the opposite in order to leave out or get rid of what is. Right? I hope you and I, sitting on that bench, are talking about this, and we understand each other. There is no authority between two friends. There is no assertion between two friends who have gone into this matter. So it's a mutual, cooperative understanding. It's not one is telling the other. They both are traveling together along the same path, with the same intensity, with the same depth. So if that's clear between us two, then that there is no relationship between attachment and detachment. There is only the ending of attachment and nothing else. Now, is love attachment? I love my friend. I am attached to every evening to sit on the bench with him, talk over my problems. And I miss when we don't meet the same every day on the bench, sit down. So I'm we are asking each other, is love attachment? To possess somebody, to hold on to somebody, whether it is the idea of God, whether it's the idea of liberation, freedom, whether it's the idea, concept, that in possession, love grows. So we are questioning, what is the relationship between attachment and love? My friend who's married and has had several marriages, and he's rather wounded by all that. He's rather unhappy. And he thinks that he still loves his present wife. And he says to me in our conversation, I can't lose her, I must hold on, because my life is empty without her. You know all this, don't you? I can't let her go. She wants to do something totally different from me, and it may lead her away from me. So I will yield to her. I will suppress my desire, my wanting something else, but I'll accept her and follow her. But inwardly, there is conflict all the time between her and me. Right? Do you know all this, don't you? This is not a new story, is it? So, I have reduced the whole immensity of love, which is extraordinary, which I don't understand, to something so trivial. That is, I'm attached, I'm possessed, I don't want to lose. If I lose, I'm unhappy. And this I call love. So is it love? Please don't agree. Don't say it's not. If it is not, then it's the end. But most of us are, my friend is afraid to look at it. Look at the complexity of it. My friend wants to move away from the subject. Because if I say, if he really sees that attachment is not love, then he can go to his wife and say, I love you, but I'm not attached to you? What would happen? She might throw a brick at me, walk away, because her whole life is to be attached to the furniture, to ideas, to children, to the husband, you follow? So then what is my relationship? Who have seen that love is not attachment, is not jealousy, is not ambition, competition. Then to me that's a reality. Not just verbal structure. And what's my relationship to her, who is quite the different? Go on, sir, it's your problem, not mine. she will not accept what to me is a reality, truth. And see what is involved in this. How painful it all is. It's nothing superficial. It touches the very core of one's being. And what shall I do? Have patience? Patience, to be patient, doesn't require time. Patience is not time. Whereas impatience has the quality of time in it. Think it over, right? When I realize my wife is different from me, she's everything which I think is totally wrong. And I have to live in the same house, and so do I have patience, knowing for myself that patience is not a process of time? Do I realize that process, patience, which is putting up, allowing time to resolve? I can't do anything, but perhaps another day, another week, another year will settle everything. So I tolerate the situation. And is tolerance love? Go on, sir, think it out. To put up with something, knowing it is wrong in quotes, and say, well, time will gradually eliminate it. Which is, I'm really impatient to find a result. Right? So I put up with it. So what shall I do? Go on, sir. Divorce? Run away? Leave my house, my goods, etc., and say goodbye and disappear altogether? Or I'm asking, can my love, intense, can that bring about a change in her? Please, you're asking these questions. Can I, who have understood this whole phenomena with all its depth, will that quality of love, compassion, intelligence bring about a change in her? That is, if she's at all sensitive, she's at all observant, listening to what I am saying, wants to understand each other, then there is a possibility of her changing. If she puts a wall, as most people do, then what am I to do? Go on, sir. Don't look at me. Look at yourselves. You see, one of our peculiarities is that we want a definite answer. We want something settled. Because then I'm free. Then I can do what I want. So, as there is no definite answer to this question, it depends on the quality of your attention, your intelligence, your love. And the question my friend asks, my son and husband are dead. I'm attached to their memory. I'm getting more and more desperate, more and more depressed. I'm living in the past, and the present is always colored by the past. So what am I to do? And the question my friend asks, let's talk over the problem of death. You and the speaker sitting on that bench with birds singing all round them, with 1,000 shadows, and the river running down, swiftly making sweet sound. And he raises this question. He says, I'm quite young. Any moment an accident can happen. And there may be death, not only of my son and my husband, but also my own death. He says, let's talk about it. We have spent half an hour on one half a question. You don't mind? Let's talk about death. From the ancient of times, historically, culturally, from all the paintings and statuary, man has always asked, what happens after death? One has gathered a lot of experience, struggled to be moral, aesthetic, collected a lot of knowledge, gone into the depths of oneself. If death is the end, then what's the point of all this? What's the point of all this struggle, pain, experience, knowledge, wealth? And death is always waiting at the end of it. I may belong to one sect, accept certain costume because I belong to that sect, which is again an isolating process. And death is the common factor for all of us. For the Guru, for the Pope, or the innumerable popes in the world. So, that's a fact. We all want to understand the significance, the depth of that extraordinary event, which is extraordinary, and what is the relationship between death and living. Please, I hope you're following. I'm asking my friend, I hope you're following what I'm saying. He says, go ahead. I follow verbally, I understand this. Various civilizations throughout the world have tried to overcome death. They have said life after death is more important than now. So they prepared for death. And they are present now that people say we must help our patients, our friends, to die happily. We never asked what is important before death of the many years, before death or after death, which is important, which is essential. I'm asking my friend. He said, oh, naturally, he says, before dying, the long years one has lived, maybe 10, 15, 30, 50, 80, 90, those long years before the ending. That is the period of living. That is far more significant than the ending of it. Why is it we are always asking, he and I, why don't we ask this question? Not what is after or help me to die happily, but what is my life that I have lived for 80 years? It has been one constant battle with occasional lapse where there has been no pain, no struggle, no something occasionally, rarely happens. But the rest of my life has been struggle, struggle. And I've called that living. Right? That's what we are all doing. Not only my friend and I, but all human beings are that. Struggling to have work, being unemployed, wanting more wealth, being oppressed, the tyranny of totalitarian states, and so on. It has been a vast jungle. That's been my life. And I cling to that, to the struggle, to the pain, to the anxiety, to the loneliness. That's all I have. Right? That has become all important. So we are asking each other, what is it that dies? Now this becomes a rather complex question. My friend and I have time. It's Sunday morning and no work, so we can sit down and go into it. Is the individual that dies. Please inquire as a friend, who is it that dies? Apart from the a biological ending of an organism which has been ill-treated, which has had several diseases, illnesses, that inevitably comes to an end. You may find a new drug that will help man to live 150 years, but always at the end of 150 years, that extraordinary thing is there, waiting. Is my consciousness, the whole of it, with all its content, is it mine? That is, my consciousness is its content. The content is my belief, my dogmas, my superstitions, my attachment to my country, patriotism, fear, pain, pleasure, sorrow, and so on, is the content of my consciousness and yours. So both of us, sitting on that bench, recognize this fact, that the content makes up consciousness. Without the content, consciousness as we know it doesn't exist. Right? So my friend and we see the logic of it, the rationality of it, and so on. We agree to that. Then, is this consciousness which I have clung to as mine, and my friend also clings to it, calling ourselves individuals, is that consciousness unlike other consciousness? Right? Please be clear on this point. That is, if you are lucky to travel, observe, talk over with other people, you will find that they are similar to yours. They suffer, they are lonely, they have 1,000 gods, so you may have one God. They believe, they don't believe, and so on. Almost similar to yours. Though on the periphery, there may be varieties. On the outskirts of our consciousness, you may be tall, you may be short, you may be very clever, you may be scholarly, you have read a great deal, you are capable, you have a certain technique, efficiency. It's all on the periphery, on the outside. But inwardly, we are similar. Right? This is a fact. Therefore, our conditioning which says we are individuals, separate souls, is not a fact. This is where my friend begins to squirm, because he doesn't like the idea that he's not an individual. He can't face the fact. Because all his conditioning has been that. So, I say to my friend, look at it, old chap, don't run away from it. Don't resist it. Look at it. Use your brains, not your sentiment, not your desire. Just look at it. Is that a fact or not? And he accepts it vaguely. So, if our consciousness is similar to all mankind, then I am mankind. You understand? Please understand the depth and the beauty of this. If I am the mankind, the entire mankind, then what is it that dies? You understand? Either I contribute, either I move away from that entire consciousness, which is me, I cleanse the whole, my being from that, right? That I am not individual, that I am the whole of humanity. Then is there emptying of the consciousness, which is my belief, my anxiety, my pain, my blah, 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 all that. Is there ending to all that? If I end it, what importance is it? You follow? What importance is it? Or what value to humanity is it? I am the humanity. I am asking this question. What value, what significance has this when, after a great deal of intelligence, love, and I observe this? And there, in that observation, there is the total ending of that of those contents. Has it any value? Value in the sense of moving humanity from its present condition. Right? You understand? Surely it has it not? One drop of clarity in a bucket of dirt, confusion, messy, that one drop begins to act. And he, questioner, my friend says, I'm beginning to understand the nature of death. I see that the things I'm attached to, if I hold on to them, death has a grip on me. If I let them go each day as they arise, I'm living with death. You understand? Death is the ending. So I'm ending while living everything that I will lose when I die. Right? So can question my friend asks, can I let go every day my accumulation? End. So that I'm living with death and therefore a freshness. Not living in the past in memories. Right? So from this arises a very complex question. What is immortality? One question, we're still going on, sorry. What is immortality? That is beyond mortality, beyond death. As we said the other day, where there is a cause, there is an end. There is an end to the effect, and if the cause remains, it creates another effect. It's a constant chain, right? And we are asking, is there a life without any causation? Please go. You understand what I'm asking, my friend? Do you understand what I'm saying? We live with causes. You know what, I won't have to go into that. All our life is based on many, many causes. I love you because you give me something. I love you because you have comforted me. I love you because I'm sexually fulfilling. And so on, so on, so on. That's the cause. And the effect is, the word I use is love, which is not. And any motive I have is a causation. So I'm asking my friend, is it possible to live without any cause? Not belonging to any cause in the sense organized cause, or in myself to have no cause. Knowing if there is a causation, there is an ending, which is the time. Which is time. Now we're going to find out together if there is a life, daily living, in our daily relationship, in our daily activity, not some theoretical activity, actual. Can one live without a cause? Look into it, my friend. Now don't look to me, but look at it. Look at the question first. Knowing, when I say I love you because in return you give me something, in that relationship of causation, there is always ending of that relationship. So we are asking each other, is there a life without cause? See the beauty of it first. See the depth, see the vitality of that question. Not the mere words. We said, love has no cause. Obviously. If I love you because you give me something, it's a merchandise. It's the thing of the market. So can I love you? Can there be love without wanting nothing physically? Nothing psychologically, inwardly? Nothing. In any form. So that is love, which has no cause. Therefore, it's infinite. You understand? Like intelligence, which has no cause, is endless, timeless. So is compassion. Now, if there is that quality in our life, the whole activity changes completely. Is that enough of that question? I hope our friend who has put this question has understood. How do you pose a fundamental question and holding, looking, observing a question in the mind is holding, observing a question, a thought? Is it a thought process? I'll read that question. How do you pose a fundamental question? That's what the questioner asks. And looking at it, observing it, holding it as a jewel in your hand. Will that lead to a fundamental understanding of the problem, of the question? Or the understanding, the looking, a thought process, right? Is that question clear? So I have a problem. Problem is my death. What is the fundamental question I can put about death? Fundamental, deep question that is reality, not just superficial reaction. My wife is dead, I'm unhappy, please answer how to get over my unhappiness. That's a very, very superficial question. Tell me how to be detached. That's very simple. But to put a fundamental question, which we rarely do, and does the fundamental question come out, happen, when there is an observation, listening to the question without any bias, without any direction? Or can thought discover the fundamental question? You understand now? My friend, I said, do you follow what I'm saying? He says, quite, no, go on. Have we ever observed without the word? Look at it, sir. Go into it. Because the word has become all important to us. The capitalist, the dictatorship, the German, the French, the word. And do we observe, do he and I observe that our brain is caught in a network of words? Right? Are we aware of this? The word being time, thought, memory. Right? The word is the symbol. The word is the effect of a cause. And we live with words, which is the movement of thought expressing itself in symbols, words, but it is movement of a thought which lives with words. Right? Look at it. So the question is, can thought, with its words and time, can it put a fundamental question? You understand? Thought being limited, broken up, and can such thought ask a fundamental question? Or, the questioner wants to know, my friend wants to know, fundamental question is not related to thought. Then, my friend asks, how does this fundamental question arise? You follow this? Please look at it, exercise your brain, your energy, find this out. Not go off to sleep or all that. Does the fundamental question arise through pure observation? That is, to observe. To observe means not only with the optical eye, but observe means also listen. Not only with the sensory ear, but the inward ear. To listen. And to look. Not translate what you look at into your own terminology. That is, into your own words. If you translate it to suit you or to look at it for your own convenience, your observation then is limited. Therefore, can you observe your wife, the tree, that extraordinary movement of water, those mountains? Observe without the word, and listen without the word, and observe without any direction, that is, without any motive. Can you do that? That is, are you listening? I'm asking my friend, are you listening to what I'm saying? Or you can't sustain a state of attention for some time, because then only you listen. So can you listen without the accompaniment of thought? Which is verbalizing, making an abstraction of what you hear what you see into an idea and pursue the idea. You understand all this? Can you observe so totally, completely? And if you so observe, what is the need for a fundamental question? What's the need of a question at all? You have, look, sir, it's like understanding envy. Let's take envy. Look at envy, which most of us are envious. I'm sure you'd all like to sit on the platform. And, you know, this quality of envy, wanting more and more and more, power, position, reputation, well known. Now, envy. To look at the reaction called envy without the word. When you say I'm envious, you are merely associating the present reaction to past memories of envy. Right? Right? Past memory. Therefore, you are not observing that movement of envy in the present. So can you observe envy without any movement of the past, which is thought? And when you do so observe, it's a totally new reaction. And therefore, it is something new which we have to observe. And when you observe, the fundamental question may be, is there an end to it? Of course. You understand? Where there is a cause for your observation, there is an end to your observation. When you observe without a cause, you understand? Shall we do one more? I have lived in the forest, close to nature. There is no violence there, but in the outer world is the real jungle. How am I to live in it without becoming part of it, part of its competition, brutality, violence, and cruelty? I have lived in a forest, close to nature. There is no violence there, but the outer world is the real jungle. How am I to live in it without becoming part of its competition, brutality, violence, and cruelty? First, how easy it is to live by yourself in a wood. I tell my friend I have done it without any boast or anything. It is natural. I've done it. It's very easy because you are not related to anybody. You look at the trees, the rivers, the plant, they invite you to look at them. The more you look at a tree, the more beautiful it becomes. The shadow, the leaves fluttering in the wind. There is no, it doesn't demand anything of you. You are enjoying yourself, listening to the birds, to the sound of water, to the lovely clear morning. And one is tempted to live like that forever. But you can't. Even there, if you live in a forest, you are related to somebody or something. You are related to the man who brings you milk. So there is always, even though one is a hermit, you're always living in a certain kind of relationship with another. And if you are a neurotic saint, then it becomes very easy. Most saints are neurotic. And then they give you food, clothes, and all the rest of it. So, when one enters the world, the trouble begins. The world which human beings have created. Not only the past generation upon generation which has created this society, but also all of us are contributing to it. When you buy a stamp, when you post a letter, you are contributing to all. When you take the train, you are contributing to all. So you might say, I won't take a train, I won't post a letter, I won't telephone, I won't pay taxes, and so on. Taxes are rather difficult. The government will be after you if you have money. So, what will you do? Withdraw completely? Not write letter? Not travel? You understand, sir? This question has been put to the speaker often. Say you are against war, peace, and so on, but you are contributing to it by traveling all over the world. So where shall I stop? You understand? Not write letter, not travel, not do all the things that are contributory, that help war? Or do you ask much more fundamental question, which is, why does war exist at all? Why has man, who is so-called civilized, so-called educated, why does he support killing another human being? So what is the fundamental question there? Is it nationality? Is it this whole idea of isolation, national isolation, individual isolation, communal isolation? When I put on a monk's robe or a different kind of robe, I am isolating myself. So is isolation the cause of war? Obviously. When I say I'm British, you're French, you're this, you're that, I'm isolating myself. I have a long tradition as a British or an Indian. If I'm an Indian, I have much more ancient tradition, which is isolating me. So, any form of isolation must contribute to war, which is war being not only killing each other, but the conflict with each other. Right? Now, seeing all that, which requires intelligence, not just vague utopian idea, seeing that, the perception of this fact, that where there is isolation of any kind, belonging to one group against another group, one sect against another, one uniform of purple, yellow, isolating. These are the actual contribute to isolation and therefore inevitable conflict. To perceive that, to see the truth of it, requires intelligence. Not say, I agree with it, and do nothing about it. But when I see the truth of it, that very perception is the action of intelligence. Right? So, with that intelligence, I enter the world, which is that intelligence which has no cause, that love that has no cause. Compassion obviously cannot have a cause. With that beauty, with that clarity, with that energy, I meet. I meet the world which is brutal. I act from that love. Or rather, that love that has no cause acts. I may be a beggar, or a very good technician, but the quality of that can never enter the world of ambition, brutality, violence. Now, my friend says, I understand. I understand very clearly what you say. I have grasped intellectually what you have said. Superficially. Now, how am I to capture it? How am I to hold it? As I hold breath, as I breathe, hold something so enormous. What is method? What is the system that will help me? Of course, obviously, when you follow a system, you're gone, finished. Because you want to achieve that state of real love. And you want to achieve it because you are unhappy, therefore you have a motive. Therefore it's not intelligence. Therefore it's not love. So when you have this perfume, then you can go through the world, never that perfume losing its beauty. Very good.